What's the most terrifying job in a war? Maybe a pilot? A sniper? How about this? You're trapped in a cramped steel coffin. You can barely see, you can't hear, and you're sitting on top of 70 high explosive shells and a tank full of gasoline. And you are the #1 target for every enemy gun on the battlefield. That was the terrifying reality for a tanker. During World War II, American tankers had a dark joke about their own M4 Sherman tanks. The Germans called them Ronsons, after the famous brand of lighters. Why? Because they burned. The single greatest fear for any tanker wasn't the enemy, it wasn't getting stuck, it was fire. These machines were packed with fuel and ammunition. One good hit, one penetrating shell in the wrong place, and you didn't have minutes, you had seconds. When the ammunition ignites, it's called a catastrophic cook-off. The turret, weighing several tons, can be blown clean off the hull. The crew inside doesn't stand a chance. But the worst part was the fire before the explosion. There's a horrifying story from a British veteran in North Africa. His tank was next to another in his squadron when it was hit and immediately burst into flames. He was on the radio, on a channel every tank could hear, and over the radio, the crew in the other tanks could only listen as their friends screamed for help. "Help me, help me." They knew they couldn't get to him. The tank was an inferno. So, horrified, the tank commander made a terrible decision. He ordered his gunner to fire 2 more shells into the burning tank. After the second hit, the screaming stopped. They did it just to end their comrades' agony. But here's the thing. Even if the enemy didn't set you on fire, the tank itself was constantly trying to kill you. Let's say an anti-tank shell hits you, but doesn't even penetrate the armor. You're safe, right? Wrong. It's a phenomenon called spalling. The sheer force of the impact on the outside shears off red-hot flakes of metal from the inside wall. These flakes fly through the cabin at bullet speed, turning the inside of the tank into a shotgun blast. You could be killed by your own armor without the enemy ever getting in. And then there were the fumes. Every time the main gun fired, the cabin filled with toxic cordite smoke. In some tanks, like the Sherman Firefly, the breech of the gun would blast sparks and hot gas right back into the gunner's face. It was so common that gunners were known for having singed off eyebrows and eyelashes. They were literally instructed to close their eyes every time they fired. So let's paint a picture. You're blind from the smoke, deaf from the engine and the gunfire, and you're choking on toxic fumes, all while sitting next to a pile of explosives. And you lived in this thing. In the deserts of Africa, crews literally fried eggs on the hull. Inside, with no air conditioning, it was a 130-degree metal oven. In the Russian winter, the metal walls were so cold, your bare skin would instantly freeze to them. Your only source of heat was often a tiny fumes-belching petrol lamp. And there was no leaving. During combat, crews stayed inside for days. That meant you ate, you slept, and you used the bathroom in the same tiny, cramped space. The toilet was often an empty ammunition box. Imagine the smell, the sickness, the sheer claustrophobia. But what if you did get hit? And what if by some miracle you weren't killed by fire or shrapnel or spalling? Now you have to get out. You have to bail out fast. But the hatches are small. You're wearing bulky gear. And the man next to you, he might be wounded or dead, blocking the hatch. There's a veteran's account of his tank being hit. The gunner and commander were killed instantly. He was the loader. He tried to get out, but their bodies were in the way. As the flames grew, he had to crawl under the massive gun breech and squeeze through the driver's hatch to escape just seconds before the tank exploded. But here's the final terrifying twist. You survived the hit. You survived the fire. You scrambled past your dead crewmates and clawed your way out of the hatch. You're free. You just jumped out of the frying pan and into a kill zone. Enemy machine gunners and snipers were waiting for you. They called it bailing out, and it was often just a different way to die. From the slow-moving nightmares of World War I to the high-tech machines of today, the technology has changed, but the reality for the soldier inside hasn't. It's still a metal box, it's still a target, and it's still one of the most terrifying places to be on Earth. What's the most chilling detail you've ever heard about tank warfare? Let me know in the comments.